The Learning Journey in association with Turn It Up Tuesday, hosted by Ross Audio, presents Did You Know? And this week we want to focus on the black family in the Western society, a historical perspective. Black families are under attack from the highest levels in our society. From the top down, black families have been systematically dehumanized and stripped in some cases of their self-worth. Let us consider the following facts. Black people are seldomly seen as family-friendly or nurturing by mainstream nations who call themselves developed. There are very few portrayals of black families in a positive view in popular media, and when we do see them, we see what is imaged by the producers as harmful and unrealistic, such as the Empire and movies such as the Black Panther. In our Western society, black people are less privileged regarding how they are portrayed as family units. However, in Africa, for example, extended families still live under one roof to foster a sense of community and support, and to ensure that children aren't orphaned if an adult chooses to go his or her way from the community for whatever reason. Western society has no such tradition. It happily rejects any form of communal living, seeing motherhood and fatherhood purely as an individual point, only valuing these relationships when there are benefits to be gained. The black family structure came under attack when white men decided that black men and women should be enslaved. So they demolished the family structure to the point that men would now echo the words in our time, "Gal in a bungle, trail a load of girls," and so forth. In addition, women would reply, "He's wearing the jacket." These lyrical renditions do have a connection to our history. Several hundred years ago, the black family structure was attacked, as I stated before. Our ancestors were not allowed to continue their family unit traditions and were forced into breeding, which can be described as a systematic force of reproduction of enslaved people. Plantation owners would force enslaved children by the age of 13 to bear children. According to one source, by the time this individual had reached the age of 20, she would have had 3 or 4 children, 5 the maximum. Slaves were considered property, so they could never get married, legally that is. In some situations, fathers, mothers, and children lived together. They would still be owned by the plantation owner, of course. The fear of being sold was consistently in their minds, and of course this would have troubled them a lot. But the truth is, the colonizers dismantled the families when they captured, scattered them, and enslaved family members. Before the mass enslavement of Africans in the Americas and the Caribbean, it should be noted that most part of Africa had family systems. The earliest evidence of human family life comes from archaeological records in Africa. The custom back then and traditions guided the men to be dominant. The family protected the children, and it should be noted that others provided protection and, of course, guidance for these children. Historically, in many African regions, the family was considered as an alignment of power. In some societies, husbands and wives worked together for the betterment of the community. For example, in the Dahomey Kingdom, a senior male in the community would be in charge of the compound. In many situations, the first wife would acquire a second wife for the man. The historical African family had the role that was one of the protector. It is said that an Ashanti father wins his children love by caring for them, while the Ashanti father did not expect to be cared for by his offspring. It would be considered bad luck if they did not care for him. The systematic dehumanization and isolation of black people have had a devastating effect on the black family. Research has shown that the absence of a strong father figure drastically increases the likelihood of the child being incarcerated in the future. It is the view of many individuals that the black family has been isolated and targeted by the federal and state government and the media and, of course, law enforcement. Today, black fathers have to give their boys the talk. Some scholars believe that this targeting is not simply because of racist attitudes, but a need to control the population. As I conclude, do you believe that black families have been systematically attacked by white society for centuries now? My next question is why black families are more likely to experience poverty, crime, and other adverse social outcomes. My final question is, are we living up to ensure that we build a family structure that includes brothers, sisters, and other relatives and families to support a unit that we should have had historically? Last week, I ended with, it takes a community to raise a child. And I want to end with another phrase, we are stronger together. Over to you, Rossi.